Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Golden Bachelorette woman shares creepy date with Joan Vassos runner-up. Golden Bachelorette Joan Vassos made her choice and is engaged to Chalk Chapel. She had 23 other men she didn't see a future with. Apparently neither did another woman who reportedly dated one of her runner-ups. A woman went to TikTok to share details about a creepy date she went on with one of Joan's suitors. Who is it and what happened? Keep reading to get all the details. Woman shares creepy date details about one of Joan Vassos' suitors. It seems every season that airs within the Bachelor franchise always has stories about the contestants that surface. Joan Vassos' season of The Golden Bachelorette is no different. Two of her contestants had restraining orders against them at one point in the past. Now a woman went to TikTok to share a very creepy story about one of Joan's men. Who was it? At first, there was a lot of confusion in the comments about which man was being referred to. However, further down the original poster clarified it was not Pascal Ebgu. In the video, she also mentioned Reno, which is where Guy Gansert is from. So while she never named him, she gave it away by saying it's Joan's runner-up and he lives in Reno. In a previous video, she also mentioned dating Guy briefly. The woman alleges in the video that she went on a second date with him after the first date seemed to go well. She allowed him to pick her up for the second date, and they went to the movies. She got really buttery popcorn and said he grabbed her hand and licked her finger. The woman who goes by Mama Bear Advice on TikTok said she was shocked and disgusted. The story gets worse. At this point in their date after the finger licking, the woman is uncomfortable and ready to go. Once the movie was over, he drove her home and walked her to the door. He reportedly asked her if he could use the restroom, so she let him and offered him a glass of water. While on the couch, Guy began to show her videos of him singing karaoke. The woman alleges he then moved closer to her on the couch and started to kiss her. She reportedly pulled back and told him that she was not sure what kind of women he dated in Reno, but she is not that gal. The woman then alleges that Guy asked her if he could see her breasts, to which she says she was shocked. At the end of her TikTok, she calls out Joan and tells her she dodged a bullet and she was so happy when she saw that Guy wasn't the winner. It's important to note that none of this has been confirmed or addressed by Guy himself. What do you think about this creepy story? Do you think it's true? Guy Gansert has been promoting himself to be in the running for the next Golden Bachelor. Do you think he will get the leading role? It was a crisp autumn afternoon when Elizabeth Ellie Harper, a 67-year-old retired teacher from Vermont and a contestant on The Golden Bachelorette, decided to share the story of her eerie experience with Darren Callahan, the runner-up to Joan Vassos' heart. Known for his charming smile and rugged good looks, Darren had captured the attention of millions during the season. However, Ellie's encounter with him painted a far darker picture. Ellie had met Darren at a reunion event organized by the show's producers, a casual gathering designed to keep the buzz alive. Darren had approached her with the same confident stride he showcased on television. Ellie, he had said, his voice warm yet commanding, "You were my favorite from the start." Flattered and curious, Ellie agreed to have dinner with Darren the following evening. They met at a cozy Italian restaurant in Boston, its warm ambience a stark contrast to the unsettling events that would unfold. The dinner. At first, everything seemed perfect. Darren arrived punctually, dressed sharply in a navy blazer and crisp white shirt. He complimented Ellie on her emerald green dress, and his charm was undeniable. They shared laughs over tales of behind-the-scenes antics from The Golden Bachelorette and toasted to second chances at love. But as the evening progressed, Ellie noticed something odd. Darren's anecdotes grew increasingly personal, detailing moments from the show that he had no business knowing. He mentioned private conversations Ellie had with Joan, comments made off-camera, and even her preferences for coffee. Details she had never shared with him. "How did you know that?" Ellie asked, trying to keep her tone light. Darren chuckled, waving her concern away. "Oh, you'd be surprised what you pick up on when you're paying attention." Ellie felt a chill creep down her spine. Was he paying attention, or was there something more sinister at play? The walk. After dinner, Darren suggested a walk along the Charles River. Despite her unease, Ellie agreed, thinking the fresh air might help her clear her head. The path was quiet, illuminated only by the occasional street lamp and the shimmering reflection of the city lights on the water. As they strolled, Darren grew increasingly intense. He spoke of soulmates and fate, his words tinged with a fervor that unsettled Ellie. He took her hand, holding it tightly as he described the loneliness he had felt since the show ended. "I knew Joan wasn't the one," Darren said, his eyes locking onto hers. "It's always been you, Ellie. I just didn't realize it until now." Ellie laughed nervously, pulling her hand away. "That's sweet of you to say, Darren, but we barely know each other." His demeanor shifted instantly. His charming smile vanished, replaced by a hard, almost predatory look. "That's the problem with women like you," he muttered, his voice low. "You're always so afraid of what's real." The revelation. Ellie's instincts screamed at her to leave, but she played it cool, feigning a yawn and claiming she had an early morning. Darren's expression softened, and he walked her back to her car. As she drove away, her heart pounding, she couldn't shake the feeling that she had narrowly escaped something dangerous. That night, Ellie's phone buzzed with a series of messages from an unknown number. "You can't run from destiny. I know you feel it too. Don't make me come find you." Terrified, Ellie blocked the number and called her daughter, who insisted she report the incident to the police. The aftermath. Ellie didn't hear from Darren again until a week later when a package arrived at her doorstep. Inside was a scrapbook filled with photos of her from the show, many of which had never aired. There were candid shots of her in her trailer, backstage during filming, and even one of her asleep in her hotel room. The realization hit Ellie like a freight train. Darren had been stalking her throughout the competition. Panicked, she contacted the producers of the Golden Bachelorette, who confirmed her worst fears. Darren had a history of obsessive behavior that had been kept under wraps during filming. Joan Vassos, the winner of the season, had ended things with Darren shortly after the finale due to his controlling tendencies, though the show had spun it as a mutual parting of ways. The confession. Ellie decided to share her story publicly to warn others. In an exclusive interview, she recounted the chilling details of her date with Darren and her subsequent discovery of his stalking. "I trusted him because he seemed so genuine on the show," Ellie said, her voice trembling. But behind that smile was someone deeply disturbed. Her courage inspired other women to come forward with similar stories about Darren, painting a picture of a man who had used his fame to manipulate and intimidate. Darren's response. When reached for comment, Darren denied all allegations, calling Ellie's story a fabrication meant to tarnish his reputation. "I've always been respectful towards Ellie and all the women I've dated," he stated. "This is just a case of someone misunderstanding my intentions." However, the evidence against him continued to mount. The producers of the Golden Bachelorette issued a public apology, admitting that their vetting process had failed to uncover Darren's troubling behavior. Ellie's new chapter. Despite the trauma, Ellie emerged stronger. She became an advocate for women's safety, using her platform to educate others about the dangers of dating in the digital age. "I'm not going to let fear dictate my life," she said during a television appearance. "If sharing my story can help even one person, then it's worth it." As for Darren, his brief moment in the spotlight faded as his actions caught up with him. Ellie, meanwhile, found solace in her close-knit community of friends and family, proving that resilience and courage can triumph over even the darkest experiences. And while Ellie might not have found love on the Golden Bachelorette, she discovered something far more valuable: the strength to stand up for herself and others.